What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy, Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. So, some stories are not really stories, but just ways to engage you guys and get a conversation going. One thing that I love talking about, and this is a very random, I don't know, like in sports, is uniforms. There were years where I loved Oregon as like one of my favorite teams. I've never lived in Oregon. I don't have affiliation to Nike like that. But just because Phil Knight was like, y'all finna put that on. Every week, they started coming with color waves of gray and silver and all types of negative, just nonsense. And I loved all of it. I love uniforms. I like cool uniforms. I hate the Raiders, but that silver and black though. Come on, man. That silver and black goes so hard, it make you almost want to be a Raiders fan, even though they don't win football games. But those uniforms, cold. I bring this up because Johnny Smith recently came out and said he wanted the throwback uniforms to be the uniforms, permanent. Don't throw it back. Don't do it once or twice a year. I want this to be the uniform. And honestly, I'm with him. I love the throwback uniforms. I think they look better. I love the logo better. I like the dolphin with the helmet. I don't know why. It looks wild to just have a helmet on, but it just looks also iconic. Because our current logo is just like a dolphin. He's just like in the water, just swimming around. But with that helmet on, that dolphin means business, right? If you saw a dolphin with a helmet on in the wild, you're like, all right, I'm not messing with that dolphin. That dolphin means business. That's what the dolphin on the helmet used to represent. Hey, we here to do work. This new dolphin is like, hey, look how sleek I look. Look how clean my aesthetic is. I look like I lost a couple pounds. That's cool, but I want that old dolphin back. You know what I'm saying? And even like the basic, like the all white with just a stripe on the side, I just think it looks better. I think it's a better looking jersey. I think a lot of teams have better throwback jerseys than the current jerseys. But I understand commerce, got to sell. When you drop a new jersey, guess what you do? You guessed it, sell more jerseys. I understand it. But sometimes throwbacks is just where it is. Like, I hate the Patriots red throwback, but I do kind of like the dude hiking the ball. Like, just the little man. I'm like, all right, I can rock with that dude. Like, he looks like he's about to, get in a 4 point and do something. But I don't know. I like throwback uniforms. I do not think we're going back because, money stuff. But it's a good thing to talk about. It's not dramatic at all. It's just something that fans talk about where it's like, I wish you wore the color rush or the green on green or white on white. Like, I think it's, listen, I'm looking forward to seeing an orange on orange. Why not? Pull it out. When we go over to Spain, just put it on. Cut the check, Ross. We want to see it. Or at least I do. Now we can get to some actual news. So, Jaire Alexander, who was a Pro Bowl cornerback, twice removed, he's been injured most of his career. But when he's not injured, perennially a Pro Bowl. I think it was an All Pro once as well. Jaire Alexander, great cornerback, injury issues, once out of Green Bay. He's under contract, but it feels like Green Bay is trying to move on as well because he may not be great in the locker room. And again, he's been injured. Now, you guys know how I feel about injured players. I'm not here for it. 95% of the time, if you have an injury history following you and you want to come here, you're going to get hurt. Like, it's just very rarely are people hurt, and then just healthy, right? Drew Brees is like maybe the big exception. And really, his hurt was like one big hurt, and he got past it. But someone who's just perennially nicked up, oh, I'm missing 4 games hit this year, 3 games this year. This is the conversation people have about Tua is that he played the full season 2 years ago. But most other years, he's missed games. And so it seems more likely he's not going to play the whole season, right? Jaire Alexander, when he's healthy, to me, is the third best corner in the league behind Stingley and Pat PS2. He's 3 on my list. I know people, what about Ramsey? What about, um, you know, Quinion or whoever you want to throw into the mix? I think he's the third best corner. He's the right combination of tenacity, trash talk, coverage, instincts, ball skills, which I don't know what's going on with cornerbacks nowadays. Cornerbacks don't get picks. These guys will play corner all year with 1 or 2 picks. I'm like, do you play 17 games? You got 2 picks? And I get it. If you're like Nnamdi Asomugha back in the day, who people just didn't throw his way, or maybe Sauce like a year ago where people just kind of stayed away from him. But what are we talking about? There's DBs that play all year and get no picks. Balls are coming. That's crazy. Passes are coming their way, and they get in the way and they be like knock it down and stuff. But they just not. There's not. They're not ball hawks. Jaire is a really good ball skills, really tenacious. He's got the right size and physicality. His problem, he cannot stay on the field, and he's kind of expensive. So my rule: if you're going to get an injury-prone player, they got to get him on a discount. That's the only way it works out. Like Raheem Mostert was injury-prone from San Francisco. But when he came to Miami, we didn't pay Raheem big money. And then he overperformed, and we gave him a little bit of money. That's perfectly. That's perfectly cool. That's the way it should be done. Don't come here injured and then expect us to back up the Brinks truck and then you just get hurt again. That I don't know what world that makes sense in, right? When Christian McCaffrey went to San Francisco, he was such an elite player. They were banking on the fact that he wouldn't get hurt, and for a couple years they were 100% right. And then last year happened. It's because he had been injured a lot, and he got more and more and more and more carries, and then he's injured again, right? That seems to be kind of the norm. If Jaire wants to, I mean, he's going to want 25 plus million, I feel like. If he's willing to come in closer to 15, I think we take a risk on him. Because I think if you pair him up with Jalen, oh my goodness. Ain't nobody competing passes for like the 9 games he played. Those 9 games you get Jalen and Jaire, no completed why am I just destroying my words? No completed passes. I think I'm so excited about the prospect. I'm just like, no. If they both can play at the same time, very formidable secondary. One of the best in the league at that point. But I think he's going to be asking too much. I think there are too many teams who need corners. I can see a team, well, Cincinnati's not going to spend any money. Cincy needs a cornerback, but they're not going to spend the money. But there are teams, maybe like a Buffalo, who their cap situation is trash, but they could move some stuff to get a good player there. Because I don't see him going to a team where they're not going to win, right? So I think the Dolphins are in a consideration. He would have to come down on his price. Hopefully the state tax thing works out. Hopefully him and Jalen, I don't know if they're friends at all, but, Jalen being like, yo, bro, I got you. Sometimes having a friend, somebody who can grease the tires for you, like, yo, you got me and you, nobody's going to be throwing the ball. So you can like sell a vision to people sometimes. And maybe he would do it, but in my experience, money talks, and I feel like he's going to want to get paid by somebody. And somebody will overpay him. There'll be some team like in Arizona who thinks if we get him, maybe, and they're not going to be good enough, like, Seattle. We'll see what happens. And finally, we talk about the draft, specifically the combine, which is going on right now. People are doing 40-yard dashes. These defensive linemen and linebackers are getting ridiculous. We got defensive ends running in the 4.4s. I don't know what we're doing at 250 pounds, 6'4", you're running the 4.4. Like, stop. It's getting scary. But anyway, the Dolphins met with Malachi Starks, who is easily the number one safety in the draft. We know the Dolphins are going to have a need at safety when Javon is gone. According to all the reports, the meeting went very well. Like, he purported himself well. The team liked what he was putting up. But there's not rumor, there's sourcing that he might start falling in the draft. Apparently, most teams don't need a safety this year. It's a very random year where, like, offensive linemen are super in need. Defensive tackles are very much in need. Running backs are probably going to fly off the board. But safeties, not as much. I think people are more corner heavy than safety heavy. So there's an idea that Malachi might start sliding down, right? Miami has the 13th pick. So I've seen 0 mock drafts that have him going before 13, which means if we want him, he will be there. We'll get him. No trade compensation necessary, right? But if there's a belief that, hey, the next team after Miami might be a team like Buffalo at 24, 25, and that's probably not, but maybe 25, 26, needs a safety. Is Buffalo going to jump 13 spots to get a safety? That feels like they're going to mortgage their future for that. That seems unlikely. And so if you think he might fall back to like 19, 20, but let's say there's a really high-end tight end prospect available there, like Warren is available at 13, and a team that needs offensive firepower, a team like the Chargers maybe, are like, hey, we kind of need somebody to get my man Justin Herbert. We'll pick him up in the draft, get a wide receiver. Let's trade with Miami. Miami trades down 4 or 5 picks, picks up another fourth, maybe third round pick, and then we just draft Malachi like at 19, 20. Now you got the player you want, super position of need, and then you picked up more compensation because we have multiple spots to fill. And if you can get more and get the guy you want, that's how you win the draft. That's how you win the draft. You don't. Yes, you take the best available. You reach every blue moon, but if you can trade back and still get your guy and get more trade comps, that's where we're trying to go. So as we get closer to the draft, I think you'll start hearing more and more about that. Like, hey, Malachi in Miami, but he might start sliding. If you start hearing that slide word, just keep your ears open because that means Miami's like, oh, so we're not really competing with other people for real. We can get more compensation. We'll slide back a little bit, pick up that additional third or fourth, and maybe parlay that into a big back, parlay that into like another receiver. There's a lot of players in this draft that can fill a need. Maybe Malachi can help us do that. We'll see. But as always, thank you guys for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate your love and support. Thank you for the likes and subscribes. Tell your friends and family. We'll see you guys next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.